You see that 12 ring I just shot with my PSE bow? You want a PSE bow? I'll tell you what, I'll give you a PSE bow. All you gotta do is like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. If you do that, we're gonna give one away. And if you do that, you're entered to win. Simple as that. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. So we got a lot of food plot experts in the space, guys, and there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of different ways to accomplish your goals, and don't get me wrong, this is not the only way to plant a food plot, but in my opinion, it is the best for numerous reasons. There's certain equipment, there's certain methods that you should absolutely be using, if at all possible, to plant the food plots on your property. I don't care if it's a 1/4 acre, I don't care if it's 10 acres. There's things that you can do to ensure better germination rate, better success, it's increased soil health, increased soil structure, increase the amount of moisture that is in your soil. There are things that you can do to keep all those things in your favor. Let's think about a late, summer food plot. When you put in those green blends, what's one of the main things that are lacking? It's moisture. So now if you go and you use some of the most popular methods, you might rid the soil of a lot of that moisture, which puts your food plot at a disadvantage already. I mean, you might only get one good rain in August, and you might need that rain. So with that being said, I'm going to get into some of my favorite things to do, or the things that I always recommend in some way, shape, or form, if at all possible, to a lot of my clients. Maybe you don't have the equipment now. Where there's a will, there's a way, and if you're willing to use some of these different options, whether you have the equipment or not, it's only going to benefit you. So my preference to planting all food plots is some form of no-till. And obviously when we think of no-till, we think of the equipment, a no-till drill. They can be pricey. You need a certain tractor, you need a certain, you need a certain machine to pull them sometimes, depending on which one you're looking at, which brand. But what is the benefit of going no-till? And if you can't afford a no-till, don't click away from this video. We have other options that you can absolutely use to ensure that you're still using some form of no-till and still get optimum results. So the point of no-till to me, and for those of you that are unfamiliar, I guess a no-till drill, the most simple way for me to put it is a no-till drill. Basically, you can set that drill to a desired depth, and it will drill your seed right into a ground that is not worked up. I grew up on a farm. I understand conventional farming, but I think there are better options in some cases to create better soil structure over the course of time, not constantly work up soil. Rid the soil of a lot of its nutrients, drain those nutrients lower into the seed bed where it's below the depth of where your root base is. There's a lot of different things that causes by working up the soil. A no-till drill just drills in the seed. Simple as that. So if you can afford a no-till drill and you're doing a bunch of food plots, that is the way to go. Even if you can't, start saving. Like if you're doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 acres plus in food plots, it's one of those things you should be using, and you'll be getting better results, guaranteed, because there's more moisture. And in that case, if you're lacking moisture, you're better off. Let's say you're putting a bunch of lime and fertilizer down on your soil. If you go in and you work up that soil, you drain that lower and lower into the soil bed to the point where it's not usable, and now you're wasting money. So it's more efficient. You'll be saving money in the long run, probably by using some form of no-till. It's better for the bugs, better for the insects. We're not basically wrecking their home on a yearly basis, which just helps the world go around. So let's say you can't afford a no-till drill. Like, Brett, I am not dropping thousands of dollars on a no-till drill. There's got to be a better way. Well, there's a couple different ways that we can accomplish these goals, depending on the seed. Obviously, the bigger the seed, the harder to do this. But a lot of your blends, a lot of your throw and grow blends, or a lot of your brassicas and radishes and turnips, things like that. And let me back up for a second. A lot of those blends can be considered throw and grow. They're such a small seed that it only takes a very little bit of seed to soil contact and ultimately maybe a rainstorm to create that seed to soil contact for those to germinate. They don't need to necessarily be put into the ground. If they are, they're more protected. Germination rate will be a little bit better, but they don't need to be put in the ground far. And don't get me wrong, I've broadcasted some soybeans and corn over my early years of food plotting, and it's come up depending on the soil and depending on the temperature and the moisture situation. It can come up, but those smaller seeds do a lot better. So literally, we can just broadcast this seed down a lot of times. And one of the methods that I would recommend using, let's say you have little no equipment. What you could do is you could spray, what I would recommend doing almost first is I don't know if, depending on the scenario, I might mow and then spray And I might or might not mow depending on the scenario, time of the year, things like that. Because if you mow, you do release, or you do remove a lot of that, I guess, canopy that will help hold moisture. So to a certain extent, maybe you don't want to mow. It depends on the time of the year. There's a lot of different situations. But if we end up going and burning off that those weeds through herbicide use or whatever your method's going to be, and then just broadcast our seed over the top, for one, if it's that small seed, I think you're going to have a pretty good germination rate, even if you don't do anything else after that point. Especially like some of those late season, not late season, but late summer blends, I think you'll have some luck. But to really ensure better germination, what I would recommend doing at that point is getting your four-wheeler out, getting your lawnmower out, and worst case scenario, finding a way to cultipack it, run it over through your tires, do something. Because the most important part to planting a food plot, if you're working up ground or if you're using this method, is seed to soil contact. If you create seed to soil contact, germination goes through the roof. So if we do that by using a roller, simply herbicide over the top, kill off the weeds. Within 24 hours, I'll go out there as soon as 24 hours. It might not look dead, but it's dead at that point. Within a couple days, not waiting for it all to be yellow and brown, and just broadcast my blend over it and then cultipack it, create seed to soil contact, there's a good chance that you'll have pretty decent results with using that method, and it's a form of no-till. So a lot of you guys are like, Brett, I just bought a tractor, I got a free tiller with it, or I got a hell of a deal on a tiller, I'm tilling up my ground. Well, here's the issue, guys. For every inch that you till up, and let's talk about those August food plots again when we're lacking moisture, for every inch you till up, you're losing about 3 inches of moisture. You do the math. You're tilling up about 6 inches deep like most of you are, if not more. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, but I can see you picturing it right now, but the beautiful black dirt and all these things, perfect soil bed, it doesn't have to look perfect for it to be perfect, guys. And in fact, having duff and leaf matter and other things like that will help protect the seed, maybe hold a little bit moisture, things like that. So it doesn't have to look any certain way for it to be, ideal in that case. So not only that, we're draining all those usable nutrients lower and lower into the soil bed, like I said, and you're spending money on lime and fertilizer. Why would you drain everything way below the root base of any of your plants, and whatever else? So if you are going to till, I would recommend just, sounds goofy, but tickling the top, just getting the first inch or two of soil worked up. And then we can broadcast beans in, we can broadcast corn in, we can plant the corn plant. We got a lot of different options. We could use an older seed drill to drill and see. We could broadcast our green blends in over the top of that, then cultipack or drag it, something like that. All these are forms of no-till or minimal tillage planting methods. And if you want to see the most success, especially with those green food plots that 90% of you food plotters are planting, some of you aren't doing the spring stuff, and I recommend you should. But if you're doing those green plots late in the summer when moisture is lacking, and we talk about all the other benefits, but moisture, having more moisture in the soil obviously is only going to help you. Some form of no-till is going to ensure that you guys have a lot more success. So if you guys like these videos, if you like the food plotting information, the TSI information, the hunting information, make sure you like and subscribe. We're always doing giveaways. If you're subscribed, you got a chance to win. So like and subscribe, guys.